Okay. So we'll start with the opening karakia, please. Whakataka te hau ki te Okay, let's get underway. So I've got an apology for lateness from the Mayor. I think everyone else is... Tim's downstairs? Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, so I'll move that. Pauline's happy to second it. All in favour? Against? That's carried. The declarations, they'll just per the report. Oh, you've got them up there. Great. They're all in PX, so that's all good. The minutes from the previous meeting, I'm happy to move. Jake, you're happy to second. All in favour? Against? That's carried. There are no public forums, but there are 3 deputations, so we'll move firstly to Carolyn Gray. If you're there, Carolyn, great. Come on up. So jump at the end of the table, and I think, as the team have probably mentioned, there's a 10-minute timer, and you go for however long you want, and then if there's time, we'll have questions.
E na mana, e na reo, e na rangatira mā. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Tuatahi ngā mihi ki te mana whenua o te rohine. Tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora hui hui mai, tēnā tātou. My name is Caroline Gray. I live in Cross Street, Phillipstown. This is the road adjoining Nursery Road where the Phillipstown hub is situated. My husband and I moved to Phillipstown about 7 or 8 years ago. At the time, I was a school principal in Golden Bay, Morhua. It was Simon that first spotted the house for sale in Cross Street, where we now live. He was an artist at the time and working on the transitional arts projects as part of the regeneration focus. And he'd been driving between Phillipstown and Golden Bay over the period of a year. He was part of the group who built and developed the Kotahitanga Central Spot at the hub and also the pizza oven. Within this remit, he ran community projects developing the values and vision of the hub. He knew what Phillipstown offered was a diverse, accessible and authentic community. Busy, friendly, with a real cross-section of real people. We could have chosen to live anywhere. We had the opportunity, privilege and curiosity. We chose Phillipstown. You can probably tell I'm originally from London, and we left England in the year 2000 and travelled across the world for 2 years in a Land Rover, eventually arriving in Aotearoa in 2002. We've lived all over the place, but now Phillipstown, and Cross Street in particular, is our forever home. I am certain today that you will hear from people about what the Phillipstown hub offers the community. Please remember, this is not just about the groups who rent spaces, run courses and host vibrant markets, although these are very welcome additions. This is about the locals who use this space daily, weekly, monthly, to meet, to bump into one another, to connect, to provide support. In essence, to feel safe and to feel seen. Cross Street and the wider Phillipstown community are facing significant challenges due to the rise of unregulated Airbnbs and short-term rentals. Since we moved to Cross Street, the residential landscape has shifted dramatically. When we arrived, there were 4 houses across the road. There are now 20 properties, roughly 8 of which operate as holiday rentals. This high concentration of transient guests managed by absent owners has introduced persistent antisocial behaviour, regular disruptions at night, overflowing bins and dangerous parking. These changes threaten the social fabric of our community, our safety and our autonomy. Not a month goes by without developers or agents approaching me to sell our home. This is not unusual in Phillipstown. In addition, as new measures move rough sleepers out of the city, Phillipstown will naturally see an influx of people who are seeking safety. The hub and its partner organisations work hard to try and meet these needs. providing Kaiwa with more than just services. The hub offers dignity, empowerment, and belonging. It is a necessary sanctuary amidst the ongoing pressure and disruption, coupled with the erosion of a fair and equitable society. Ultimately, the Phillipstown Hub is more than just a set of community buildings. It is our primary defence against the multiple and escalating impacts on local identity, hauora, connection and safety. While the new playing fields across Ferry Road are a welcome addition, they lack the intimacy and connection of a true community hub. To lose the hub would be to lose the social infrastructure that will continue to keep Phillipstown resilient in the face of rapid and unregulated changes that this council has overseen. Do not undervalue this essence, this lifeline, or seek to diminish it. We urgently need the council to uphold and invest in the mana and potential of the Phillipstown neighbourhood. Please, keep the hub whole. Kia ora, ngā mihi.
Great, thank you very much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Doesn't look like we've got any questions, so we'll move on to the next deputation, but thank you very much, Carolyn, for that. That's great. Can I invite up Sudi, please? Good to see you.
Kia ora koutou. Hello and salam everybody. My name is Sudi Dagipur. I am a psychologist, a community support worker, artist, designer, and a proud member of Christchurch. I wrote this speech and it all comes from my heart and my observation from my community and the wider community of Otatai Christchurch. The community is a living organism within society. It grows, adapts, and reshapes itself in response to human need. Every person around this table has experienced a community space at some point in your life. Somewhere they felt recognized, welcome, less alone, and feeling welcome. We all carry that memory. Phillipstown is not simply a facility. You can literally see the life of this organism here, shaped year after year by people who walk through its doors, bringing their culture, struggle, skills, and hope with them. I understand the importance of needs assessment. Council must measure, analyze, justify decision. This is a responsible governance. But some needs exist before words, statistics, and numbers. And when we try to measure only what can be counted, we risk overlooking what actually sustains communities. So I ask everybody here, just for a few seconds, to think of a need of your own in your life that was fulfilled without even knowing that exists. And that need was met simply because people before you gathered in the same place and recognized it. That is the hub. I'm from a Muslim community, so this part could be a bit emotional for me, but I try my best. After the mosque shooting, families received professional psychologist support. That support was essential, measured, and necessary. But another need emerged, one no one predicted: the need to step out of the grief, the need to exist not as a victim or survivor, but a human being. A group of mothers, brothers, families, survivors get together and said, we just want to sit somewhere, be a family member, be a friend, and do something with our hands. Not as a survivor, as a human being. I'm sure none of you happily experience this, that sometimes in a grief, when someone asking, how are you, it can break you down. For that moment, an art group was born that I'm privileged to be part of it. No policy created it, no assessment requested it, yet it became one of the most powerful forms of healing in our community, and we experienced it. What we can do, call it, perhaps the first word could be healing in a community, perhaps belonging, perhaps dignity is returning quietly. But how do you measure that in a square meter, in a spreadsheet and numbers? You cannot. And yet its impact is real, visible in stronger families, safer streets, connected neighbors, people who begin participating again in civic life. The Phillipstown Community Hub not valuable because it's building alone. It's valuable because it's enabled relationships, and relationships are part of and foundation of society. That kind that prevent isolation before it become crisis. That kind that support well-being before intervention become expensive, that I'm sure everybody knows that it's very expensive. The kind that allows community to solve problems together instead of relying solely on the system. When council invests in a hub, it's not preserving the past, it's investing in a prevention, resilience, and social stability for the future. Government have a program to support refugees to speak English, find employment, and begin this country home. This is very important. The reality is that these programs are always limited in time. They end, they must end. But what cannot end, however, is belonging. When formal support finishes, this community itself that will carry people forward. And it's exactly what happened at the hub. You can see the group of English class outside. The community created its own place, shaped it, and integrated naturally across cultures and groups. If you walk through to the hub on Monday morning, you will see something remarkable. A genuinely inclusive community, the kind that every policymaker hopes to create, every activist dreams to seeing it. Children playing together in a garden without knowing who is refugee, who is local, who's arrived yesterday, who lived here for generations. They learn equality not through instruction, but simply by growing together. This did not happen through programs or enforcement. This has happened because people built together something to meet their own need. We often design systems assuming we understand recovery and reintegration. For example, we know addiction recovery requires support, so we provide formal meeting and service. Just imagine, I know it's very hard. Imagine you being newly sober, you walk into the room filled with the people who know you only through your addiction and witness your hardest moment. For some, that space can feel less support and more like a reminder of your struggle. Many do not go there to get help. What makes the hub difference is informal care that exists amongst people. Our community gardens and shared car have shown this again and again. Someone walking through in a difficult moment, no word exchange, someone just say, it will pass, it will be okay. That small human interaction, unplanned, unmeasured, can be the moment that prevents relapse, prevent crisis, sometimes save lives. No service contract can design that, only community. When it comes to the financial decision, elected members quietly, rightly carry responsibility to the wider community, to the people who entrusted you with their vote. So I ask you to consider this plainly with your heart. By protecting one living organism of the community, one place where connection, prevention, and belonging already work, is like your kidney, it's your heart. You protect countless individual lives that may never appear in a statistic. We all know there are never enough zeros in any budget to justify saving a single life or change life. And yet, every decision we make as a society ultimately comes down to exactly that question. The hub quietly saves lives, change lives, and do it constantly, every day. Purchasing the entire site, protect flexibility for generations to come. Communities change, needs evolve. Space must be allowed to grow with them. The reduced footprint, risk, limitation, possibilities before we even understand what the future of Phillipstown require. The community board recognized that, and the community itself lives this reality every day. So, councillors, today's decision is not only property acquisition. It's like when your kidney is sick or your heart's sick, you don't remove it. You go to hospital, spend money on it. You save it because it helps your body. So please think about it. Please think about it with your heart, not numbers. Because places like Phillipstown do something rare. They allow people to belong without needing permission, and there's nothing quite like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Sudi. That's
Thank
really,
you.
really good. Any questions? No, I think we're good. Oh, Pauline?
Thank you. That was very heartfelt. And look, just a question is if the council was unable to purchase the entire site, would you still be able to function as your hub with a decent size amount of that, say even half?
I think it's very important to define the decent here. So as big as
say around half, or what would you?
All the buildings.
Yeah, say with all the buildings on that sort of footprint. I mean, the thing is, I'm trying to get an answer from you that if you can't get exactly the whole lot, would there be a compromise that you might be able to accept and still function as your hub?
the community always find a way to shape and works in that space. But I think it's the generosity of you guys that defined a decent,
Yep.
a proper decent for
Yeah,
us.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for coming in, Sudi. Now, can I invite up for our last deputation, Michael, Sid, and Veg?
It is
Veg?
yes.
Cool. Great. Come on up. So same again. There's 10 minutes, and we'll hand over to you.
Kia ora everyone. You know our names. We're here as a team who are at the hub pretty much every day. I'd say probably the beating heart of the hub in terms of managing the day-to-day space. So my role at the hub is the garden facilitator, but my job is infinitely more than that. Yeah, and I feel like I'm here speaking obviously for myself on behalf of Ella, who works with me to run the hub. She couldn't be here today because she's in Tōtaranui. But also on behalf of all of the people who have worked and curated the space at the hub over the last 10 years. It's quite a responsibility to be in this moment and be able to speak to what the hub is. And I think, to me, what the hub is moments. There's an infinite number of moments that happen at the hub on an everyday basis. Moments of connection, moments of experiencing safety, of being witnessed in the world. Because our communities are generally so broken, so many people experience life in a very isolated way. And the hub is the antidote to that. And what does that look like? That looks like last week me harvesting our first kamo of the season and gifting it to our kaumātua group who come in on a Monday afternoon every fortnight and experience their culture together and experience their company together. It looks like harvesting a freshly harvested, freshly hub-grown rock melon, which was my experiment for the season in one of my tunnel houses to see if I could grow melons. Slicing that up and sharing it with a group from Step Ahead who were there to practice yoga. So after their yoga practice, they got to sit around and share pieces of rock melon that had emerged from the land, the whenua, at the hub, grown with the love of my friends, Veg and Sid. So, yeah, Veg has been around the hub for a while. He's my friend now. He was there long before I was. And I'd love to hear some words from you, Veg.
Sweet.
Kia ora. I'm Veg, one of the longest volunteers at the Phillipstown Community Hub. I've been there for 6 years. It's my safe space. I'm 14 years clean from heroin. If the place wasn't there, I don't know where I'd be. Probably end up dead or in jail, brother, you know. And it's really important for me because I also look after, I've got a group of autistic kids that come in and it's their safe space. They're important to me. The whole place is important to me. My community is important to me. It's a struggle. Every day there's a struggle in there. All I hear is police sirens when I leave the place, you know. I don't like hearing it, but when I'm in there, it's calm. It's hard to you know, if people haven't experienced that in their life, like been through gangs or anything like that, I don't expect you to understand. I need to get my point across though. Throughout my team and everybody that works with me, I love them all to bits. I had this thing when I came in there that I get judged because of the way I look. So when I walk through town, people are always asking me, do I know where to score? You know, that's just shit to me. I am who I am because of my life experiences, okay? I'm really, really proud to work with these people. They've humbled me to the max. I love them to bits. I love the Phillipstown Hub. I love the community. You know, there's a lot of diverse people. Getting to know everyone's cultures it's just awesome people. It's just, yeah, the warmth that you feel from the place. You know, if you haven't been there, you need to check it out. You know, we put on lots of, events, you know, and people just show up from all over Christchurch, brother. You know, it's amazing to see, you know. Yeah, I just love the place and everyone that I work with. It'd be a shame if we lose it because it's something special that we don't have here in Christchurch or anywhere else in the country that I've noticed, you know. Thank you.
Ko Sid toko ingoa. I'm a volunteer at the Phillipstown Hub. I've been there for a good while now. I've actually lost track of time on it. From doing a craft group at the Phillipstown Hub and looking down to the garden and knowing that that's where I wanted to be. Contacting Ella and Michael and walking into that world, walking into the Phillipstown Hub, I'm so blessed to have had the opportunity, to still have the opportunity, because I'm still going to have it, because it's going to work. So have the opportunity, because I've learned so much working beside Michael, Veg, and all the other wonderful volunteers and workers at the Phillipstown Hub. It has benefited my mental health dramatically. Before, I used to break down, I used to get emotional, I used to offload dramatically. And by walking by everyone and learning more about myself, I've learnt to hold myself more and learn more about myself. And for the Phillipstown Hub, we get so many walks of life through our door. By not having the hub anymore would be cutting off the light, would be cutting off the resources for so many, that could then turn into dark. And I've been in dark. It's scary. It ends up being mental health. It ends up being Hill Morton. It ends up being that scariness. And to have the hub is to bring the light, it's to bring the aroha, the mana, and the resources to so many in need. I personally have autism and ADHD. And by being in the space, I'm able to have a space I can be quirky, I can be my authentic self. And to have so many others have a space they can be themselves and not be judged, not be criticised in any way, face or form is a beautiful thing. So please take this into consideration, that by not having this space, so many people are going to source out other sources which are not going to be beneficial for them and could have them end up in any headspace, in any situation. But having the groups, having group space as well, just having resources, and having a space where you can just come, having the garden, and just please take this into consideration, because mental health is such a big thing, and the Phillipstown Hub is holding that for so many. Yeah. Thank you.
I'd just like to offer one last perspective. As a gardener and someone who, I guess, cherishes the ecological richness of our world, I feel it is important to voice the non-human life's importance. So the hub is the Marakai at the hub has doubled in size since I've managed to be invited into the space. It's very much on a journey of increasing its ecological diversity. We've been able to double the number of beehive stacks that are down at the hub because there is now an expanding amount of food for the bees to forage and to be healthy and to be producing honey for themselves and for us. The soil is improving after having a lot of human intervention, negative intervention over the years, DDT and the like in the past. One thing that most people don't realise is that there's more forms of life in a teaspoon of healthy soil than there is humans on this planet. And so if we continue to, I guess, degrade these spaces and use them in ways that don't honour the life that is not human, then we're going to end up in a very ecologically poor situation. Their lives are as equal to ours. So please also take the non-humans into consideration in your decision.
Great. Hey, thank you, all three of you, for coming in. I really do appreciate it, and it's good to hear, perspectives. So, thank you for coming in. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, we might move straight to the paper, given there are people here interested in it, including us. So, let's get, is John here or Angus? Who's going to run us through this? Oh, we've got no petitions either. So, yeah, sorry, we've got no petitions, so we'll move to item 7, which John and Angus will talk through. And I think, hey, Jacob, you got some wording, which I think we're just getting some advice on. Have you sent it through? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Hang on. You guys run us through. We'll take the paper as read, but just can you give us a high level, what you think we need to know? And then Tyler's first, please.
You start, yeah. Through you, Mr. Chair, the 2 or 3 pertinent points, accepting the paper as read, and thanking the deputations. A couple of points. We've been advised from the Phillipstown Trust that the hub will close. We've been trying to ascertain how many groups will be displaced and where the groups are and where they're going. We can't find this information out, and the hub have advised, and Sodi's behind me, that look, maybe a number of the groups are waiting until council has made its intentions clear before they firm up plans. So if there are questions on that, it remains a grey area for those very good reasons. When the board considered the report, they considered 2 preferred options. Firstly, purchasing the whole site, and secondly, purchasing an affordable amount of the site, approximately 3,800 square metres. The principal concern that staff had was we didn't have the financial information at the time available to the board that they could consider in their decision making. Of course, we do have that now. The board's preferred option, the purchase of the whole site, is substantially underfunded. We don't have the money. We're short between 2.7 and 4.7 million in capex. We're short in OPEX for year 1 between 650,000 and 1.2 million. And we're short OPEX ongoing between $100,000 and $200,000. These are big ranges because these buildings aren't ours. The land isn't ours. They're old school buildings built for school use that were closed for school in 2011. So there are lots of unknowns. The board's second preference, and again, we were not able to provide the board with this financial information at the time. The board's second preference is, we could afford the land. The board are looking to purchase within the capital in the LTP. but there'll be a shortfall in OPEX in year one between 550 and 1.1 million. That OPEX shortfall is the cost of either demolition, remediating old buildings, and picking up and moving the existing community centre onto the site. Because as you may be aware, the existing community centre is on land that the Ministry of Education are not going to sell. So we will need to pick that up. It currently houses the Trust and probably another couple of community groups, and pop it down and refurbish it as part of the centre. And there's an ongoing OPEX cost of between $100,000 and $200,000. The last thing that Claire and Angus would like to say, when the staff evaluated needs in Phillipstown, we agreed with a lot of the submitters that there is a very strong local need for a local facility. That's absolutely undeniable, and we support that to the hilt. So we do support and do recommend council buying a portion of the site, relocating the existing community facility, doing it up, running it in conjunction with the new facility built at Lancaster Park as a strong local hub. Absolutely support that. The board saw the need for a wider citywide function, and probably that's the slight difference in perspectives that come to the meeting. Really, that's all we had to say. We're happy to answer questions.
Great. What we'll do is thank you both for that, and thanks for the paper. And I think it's good. You know, the point of these are you offer your objective advice, and then council make a decision based on, you know, community views and their determination. So completely respect what you've both done in this paper. Tyler had a question, and then I just want to take a 5-minute break because I just want to get clear on the wording of Jake so we can get it. It might just save us an hour if we take 5 minutes. So Tyler, do you want to do your question? Then we're going to just have a 5-minute break so Jake and I can just look at the wording.
Yep. Kia ora, John.
Kia ora, Tyler.
Could you take me through those financials again? The full capex and opex, and then the partial.
Yes, the purchase of the preferred site, there's a capex shortfall of between 2.7 million and 4.7 million. Based on
I wonder, it might be worth, sorry to cut you off, John, there's a second attachment. I don't know if you've seen that, but it outlines it all. It's the next agenda. There's 2 attachments to the agenda, so if you close out of that one and into the second one, there's literally a memo written on it. Which may be
good call. If you're
it'll just
planning
save.
to have a 5-minute break, you can possibly have a
So
squeeze around.
let's take the break now. Have a look at that, Tyler, and we'll talk to the team. So let's break for 5 minutes, please. Okay, welcome back, everybody. We've got a resolution that's been moved by Jake and seconded by me on the table, which we'll just bring up. Sorry, moved by Jake. Moved by Jake. Yeah. Yeah, no, he got me there. I didn't. Yeah. Okay, so given that's on the table, in the interests of time, Jake would like to debate it. So, does anyone have any more questions? Okay. Okay. So, can I just get the Angus and John to the table, please? And I've got Tyler, and then Yanni, and then Mel.
Okay, guys. Question for John. Around the community consultation, were there long-term tenants that have been talked to prior to this?
Claire, can you?
There was two. There was a.
Claire, do you want to come on?
The long-term tenants were discussed. Had the discussions with the trust. We were working with the local community and anybody who came through to the fun day and answered our surveys. But the local, but the tenant organisations, that was undertaken to be discussed with Sandra, who was the manager at the time. So we weren't in that discussion.
I see.
Yeah.
So could there be potential of some organisations falling through the cracks and trying to gather their thoughts?
There very well may be, but there was an opportunity for all tenant agencies and locals to input into the consultation.
Okay.
At the time, we were wanting some clarity on more of the permanent tenant organisations and where they would likely go. But I understand the reason behind not wanting to make a decision about whether they go or stay until there's a decision about what happens to the future of the trust.
Okay, so we'll go to Yanni.
Thank you, and thank you for the work that you've done on this. I'm just mindful after hearing the deputations this morning that this meets so many different objectives in terms of what we would want to do as a city, but also in terms of government and in terms of philanthropy.
So your question, Yanni?
So the question is, given that there's a number of things that would benefit the well-being of people, is there an opportunity that we talk to other funders and other government agencies around the need to retain the whole site and to attract external funding?
Councillor Johansson, at the present time, the council need to confirm with the Ministry of Education by early March their interest in the site. We really need a decision made now to inform that conversation.
Sorry, but just to be clear, there would be nothing that would preclude us from having those conversations after today if we expressed a desire to acquire some or all of the site?
No. I think we have to get back to the ministry, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
We could certainly, in the intervening time while we're negotiating, also talk to the other agencies.
And I think, I don't think we'd need a resolution to specify that. If people were comfortable just to know that that would be something that staff would pick up, that would be great.
We can
Thank
leave
you.
that with the team. Okay, I've got Mel.
I was just interested in those OPEX costs because they're quite significant. But I'm wondering if maybe that is the numbers that you've suggested are maybe more than we may are necessary to keep the hub running. Like it could be something that could be an ongoing slow project that could be done, chipped away at, and people could put in time into that to keep the costs down, etc.
Well, can you comment on that? I think what you're suggesting is what has happened to date, where the trust have tried to maintain the buildings, but that's happened at a minimal level. and there's a lot of deferred maintenance and remedial repairs. Two of the buildings on the left-hand side are at end of life. I think you need to recognise that in your decision making. They would need to be demolished, and the others really do need significant expenditure on them to bring them up to scratch and fund them long term. And the trust hasn't had the ability to do that over the last few years because it's a significant operating cost. So that would probably fall to council. That's what we're suggesting.
The operating figures we've provided are ranges. Because until you do some really thorough analysis, the precise amount isn't always clear.
Yeah, that is an estimate. The MOE, because these properties have been mothballed and they haven't been spending money on them, they couldn't give us good, accurate figures on operating costs.
So for the annual plan, if we were to purchase this, are those OPEX costs in the budget?
No.
So they would need to be added over the next year?
Yes. Yep. A commitment today that is unfunded would have to have a commensurate commitment in the annual plan, financial commitment in the annual plan.
Tyler, and then I'm keen to move this on.
I just want to talk through the numbers a little bit. So the disposal area that's within the report, I mean, how much would $3 million potentially get us if we're going off market rate?
You probably can't answer that in public.
Oh, I've sort of been...
That was me saying.
I've sort of been pretty relaxed about talking
on average,
about
how
that.
much per square metre is the question?
Yeah, it's about 700 a square metre. But I've got to say that is our valuation. We have not been through a valuation process with the MOE. So there's significant valuation risk in this. When we go back to the MOE with a commitment about what we want to buy, they will get it valued and we'll have a discussion and negotiation over value. So I'm just providing you with estimates for decision-making purposes. There is a range within that, and that's reflected in the figures we've given you.
Okay, and within the disposal area itself, how many trusts or organisations are currently there?
Well, there's historically been 8 tenants. 8 permanent sort of...
8 to 9.
Yeah.
And what will happen with them if we weren't able to purchase some of the disposal area within this resolution today?
Well, we're not aware of what's happening there. Some of them have, because of the trust indicating they were going to wind up by the end of March, have started looking for homes, we understand, and others are probably waiting for decisions like this or other matters. So it's a state of flux and uncertainty. The trust may have an awareness of that, but we don't.
Okay.
Okay, you nearly, how you going, Tyler?
I'm getting there. I'm actually probably going to put another alternative, which is going back to option A.
You can foreshadow whatever you like.
I'd like to foreshadow the amendment if I can get a second for that.
Yeah, you won't need a seconder yet, I don't think, but
with respect to the local council, obviously.
So hang on. So Pauline's got a question.
Just really quickly following up from what Councillor Harrison-Hunt was asking. So with this resolution at 3 million, the intention is to give you guidance to negotiate for the piece of land that does contain the buildings that are currently being used. So that is, are you clear about that?
Is that a statement or a question?
That's a question. Are you clear about that? That's the direction that we want without...
Well,
right. So you're suggesting the area with the buildings? Which buildings?
Yeah, thank you. And I think that may have an impact on Councillor Harrison-Hunt's view, because he's thinking that this purchase is not going to be enough to home these people and they'll have to move on, and that's not our intention. Our intention is that they can continue to function here, so we need to provide them the facilities that they have already. Thank you, Mary.
Great. Okay, so I think we're there. So we've got a motion on the table, noting the foreshadowed, which is option A, option 1. Yep. So let's open up for if anyone would like to debate. Thank you both, Angus and John. Jake, do you want to kick it off?
I think the word significant in the amendment are quite pertinent. This is a significant day for the community and for this council and for the Phillipstown community. I'm a big believer in not doing a negotiation in public. You know, we don't, if we were to put a really high figure on this, you can guarantee we would get a really bad deal. And if we were to put a square meterage, you can guarantee we would get a really bad deal as well. What people should be focusing on is the significant purchase of the Phillipstown hub site. And I want, you know, really am keen that we hand that over to our Chief Executive and Chief Financial Officer to bring that back and get the best deal that they can. I guess, you know, the submitters have said it way more eloquently than I ever could, but when the government closed the school after the earthquakes, the threat to it was an existential crisis really to the Phillipstown community, which, you know, is a community that has some challenges, but actually that community was able to inhabit the hub and actually build strength from what could have been a huge threat. It's quite remarkable what's happened there, and I want to really communicate that. I think the feeling around the table, and certainly my feeling, is we recognise that, respect that, and we'll do our absolute best to maintain that and keep that going forward in the future. So thank you all for coming and having your say.
I think that's probably a nice note to leave it on, unless anyone would like to. Yanni?
Thank you. Yeah, I want to start off just by acknowledging the community to echo the comments that were made, that you know, despite what happened in this area in terms of the school being merged, well, effectively closed, that this community stood strong and continued to do the hard work to support so many people at a particularly difficult time. And it's for those, I mean, I used to be the local councillor for the area. It's an area, a community I represented for over 20 years until the most recent boundary changes. I saw firsthand how much difference that school was making in the local community and saw the devastation when it was closed. So in my view, I just wanted to recognise that although we're being asked to make a decision today, I'm really in two minds. I support the full retention of the site. I support the purchase from the ministry, but the price I think should be $1. The ministry should be giving it to this community in recognition of the harm that they caused by the process they went through to close this school. And we should be putting every bit of pressure we can on the government to recognise that the activity that happens on the site generates multiple cost savings to them in terms of health, in terms of welfare, in terms of a whole bunch of other things that this community has carried the can for. And the least the government could do would be to give this site to the community so it can continue doing the incredible work that it does. I just listened to some of the deputations that were made this morning, you know, and I can't help but think when we think about the cost, actually, it strikes me that actually there's no value or price that you can put on these things. You know, these small local things that are making a big difference in people's lives are worth way more than the figures that we were told it would cost to acquire the whole site if we had to pay even at market rate. And I think, you know, the important thing for me is that this community is recognised that there's a lot that they're actually doing for themselves to help themselves. It's not just a case of council and the government having to do it all. So the partnerships that were created are so important. And there's no price you can put on the magic that is created at this site. And you heard some of those things today. What lesson does it send to the people of this community if the ministry decides to sell this at market price for the harm that they caused? The best lesson the ministry could teach future generations would be that when you apologise, you match it with action that creates redress to the harm that you've caused in a community. The ministry has an opportunity to do that. The government has an opportunity to do that with this site. The whole site should be retained for community benefit and community purpose. And I'm strongly supportive of us doing everything we can as a council to recognise that. So just to acknowledge the people that have been doing the incredible work there, the people that came in, I'm really supportive of retaining the whole site.
Okay. Aaron.
I'd like to thank the mover and seconder for getting us to where we're at. I don't disagree with a number of points Yanni raised, and given that the sale of the land goes from government ownership to local ownership, but still owned by the people, it would be great if the deal, which we will take the number up there, is offered for the entire site, and that might be where it lands at for the points that Yanni raised. One of the strongest deputations I think I've ever seen at this council table was the words of Veg today when he was talking about the impact of that place on him, and when he said, if it wasn't for that place, I'd be dead or in prison. Both of those things do have numbers attached to them. The value of a life in New Zealand statistically now is $12.5 million. Veg, you're worth $12.5 million, my friend. And you can't cash it out, but when we make decisions, you use numbers. And the other one you mentioned was prison, and that's $201,000 for a year now in New Zealand. And I'm picking, there'd be a lot more than just that one guy that is diverted away from both of those outcomes by a place like this. So yes, it has an incredible value, and hopefully maybe the $3 million might get the entire site, but it will at least get us a really good site, and that I support.
All right, so I think we're there. What we'll do is, do you want to say anything, Jake? Are you happy? Oh, sorry, Tyler. Yep, and then we're there.
The questions that I've been asking, they were answered in broad ranges, and it's something that doesn't make me feel extremely comfortable in the way that we're making this decision today. And we could have ended up in the same situation where the local council's resolution still stood. However, I just don't feel like the sufficient information is there for me to be able to make a decision on this. And also noting the community aspect of this, with the Phillipstown Community Hub, somewhere I've been quite a few times. They are obviously the heart of the community, and being a councillor for a ward who had their heart taken from them after the earthquakes, extreme development, and very low levels of community activation only in certain pockets, it's extremely difficult for me to make a decision on even cutting up parcels of this land. Although I do want to commend the local councillor, Jake, on putting this forward, because I do agree with the intention of negotiating with the $3 million and making the best purchase possible, because we do know that sometimes ministries can get a bit carried away with things. I want to just reiterate to everyone that this comes across our table year on year in different communities. And when it happens, we know the backlash. Even if we just refer back to Linwood with the loft, the absolute turmoil they went through after the changes that they had to go through was extremely difficult to navigate, and then everything comes back to us anyway. Whatever decisions the Crown makes, the council has to pick up. We're already seeing that in the news at the moment with the new move-on orders that we're seeing from our homeless community. So I am going to regrettably probably step away from this decision. I am going to hold off with the foreshadowed amendment, and I'm going to let this go through because I know that it will go through. And I want to continue to just appreciate everyone in this room and appreciate Phillipstown Community Hub for coming down. I really do hope that this comes out to the best decision that we've got. Kia ora.
Okay, I'll just wrap it up very briefly. Look, thank you to everyone that's come in and made submissions or deputations this morning, and actually to all of those that submitted to the community board as well. That is the point of local democracy, and I just think it's really valuable that you've taken the time to come along and talk about what you're doing in your community. I think it's very fair to say, and I think it was Veg that challenged us. If you haven't been in that situation, you don't know. And, some people haven't been in that situation, so it is good to get that perspective. Certainly changed my mind on a lot of things, which I think is really useful. Can I just acknowledge the mover as well? It would be very easy to go for the most expensive option, but what Jake's been able to do is actually work with his colleagues for the last day and a half to come up with a compromise, which should see it go through today. This has been so pleasant, and I don't want to be difficult about it, but I'll be very disappointed if people oppose this, given we have reached a compromise as a group, and voting against it is voting against not negotiating to do this. We don't have the money on the budget for the full thing, but I think, as Aaron said, maybe the ministry, I'll be surprised, but maybe the ministry will reflect that in the delegation or the limit we've got. It might be cheaper for them to potentially move it on. So, I'd hope that people don't not support this today, and that what we've heard from the community, this is a way to get something done that will be a legacy in that community. And I think Jake's worked really hard to get it to that point. So let's go to your app, Votendo app, and it is up there. I didn't expect that. That is carried. So that's carried. Thank you. Okay, so let's move to item number 8. So if Peter Ryan here, please. Hello, Peter. Tell us some good news. So item 8, we'll take it as read, but I think, do you want to give us an intro and then we'll go to questions?
Yeah, I will. Look, where to start? It can be hard to do this because bringing bad news is not always popular, but today's not one of those days. It's actually quite a pleasure to be here. I'll just step you through the table on page 2 of the report, the one with the colour blocks.
Yep.
And I'll just explain what I meant by what I just said. Community levels of service to target, a very dry phrase, but that actually summarises the work of a couple of thousand people. That's everything we do, from catching dogs to libraries to roads to whatever. Now that's currently at 90.2, with the expectation it will go up again by next month. To put that in perspective, that is our best result in delivering to the community what we said we would do for the last 20 years. Management levels of service are not quite as interesting, but it still means that the cogs behind that delivery are also working. Overall resident survey result, we'll be bringing you the resident survey next month. The data needs to be crunched and put into tables and graphs, but I can also tell you there is a wave of good news coming there as well. But that will have to wait till March. Capital projects watch list is only one project away from hitting the goal that it's supposed to do. Non-watch list projects are doing what they're supposed to do. Planning for the year ahead, so that we're feeding the entry of the capital works pipe by planning ahead. That will be green by year end. It's only 1% off. I think there's a good chance that the other planning for 28, 29 will make it as well. Value for money, we're one activity out of 38 not on track. Overall, council is of course in surplus and we're doing fine for budget. This is about all the individual components. One of them is off, but it's being looked at and there's a chance that may come right. And capital program within budget, the buffer is down to 10% below. It's a 10.9, so it's just outside. I want to put that in perspective though. That's a forecast of 500 million. That's the same as last year, but that is also as much as we've ever built in terms of core capital. So that's at the maximum end as well. So look, it's not perfect. There are still things being worked on. I know there's a lot of focus going on the plant and so forth, and everybody's working hard to make that work. But look, we haven't had any natural disasters this year so far. Staff are cracking on, and look, these are hard numbers on dials that are very hard to move. Most of these numbers these goals have been here since 2021, and they haven't looked like this over that 5-6 year period. So we're having a good year.
Very good. Thank you, Peter, for that. And so in terms of the community levels of service to target that, the best in 20 years, was it better 21 years ago, or is that just our records?
That's where the records start, with the LTP of 2006.
Yeah.
So that's since these kinds of records began. Before that, it was very loose, and I'll give you a hard number. In 2005, levels of service were 45%.
Wow.
So, and I'll also add that the goals themselves have become harder. Regulations around Three Waters, NZTA oversight of roading, tougher, more detailed, DIA involvement, and much more thorough auditing from Audit New Zealand than back in the day, because I was there.
Yeah. So effectively got more structure, more accountability, and we're delivering better results.
Yes.
And you can't, you don't have the fortune cookie here, but you're saying the resident survey might be looking good for next month, or talk to us about, don't tell us if it's still being worked through, but what happens, you'll come to us at F&P, or
we will bring the report to you at F&P. And talk to the overall survey result for the city, and then the results against individual services.
Okay.
Trends positive both ways.
Brilliant.
But I'm only dealing with raw data. I can't actually give it to you right now.
Yep. Okay. So and I'm not prying because you'll tell us next month, but if our results are the best in 20 years, is the resident survey kind of heading in that direction as well? Or?
Yes. Brilliant.
Aaron?
Yeah, so if our results are the best in 20 years, how are the other main centres tracking? Do you keep an eye on that as well, Peter?
I do, but I'll qualify it without naming any individual cities. The degree of difficulty that authorities attach to what they do varies. Some authorities simply pick things they know they can do. So they're 100% every year. Ours have difficulty built into them.
Right. So it's not comparing apples with apples?
No.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Yanni. And I'll move this, and Aaron's happy to second it.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for the, appreciate the good work that's gone in the reporting, and it's really heartening to hear those results. I was just had a little bit of a specific question on page 91, which is around two things. One is the neighbourhood parks are provided in urban areas at a rate of at least 1.9 hectare per 1,000 population. And we're told that the budgeted CapEx project to acquire new neighbourhood parks has been put on hold by the GM. Yet, I think a number of us have got these intensification areas, and we've actually heard some deputations this morning about the need for green space in these intensive areas of development. So I'm just wondering, is that having any impact on our ability to acquire new sites, or are we able to get some information about the rationale behind why that's been put on hold?
I think it might be a tough one to answer on the fly.
Yeah.
And that we might...
But I'm happy to get some information.
Come back to you next month?
I think it would be helpful.
Yep. So if we could minute that as an action, and we'll come back next month.
And then just it's a kind of a high level question, but in terms of the measure below that, where we're doing network plans and reserve management plans, it just says we're not meeting the target, uncertain if any will be completed this year, and then it says reserve classification of reserve management plans is progressing with property unit. Big job, but it doesn't really give us a sense of what are the plans that we're working on, what are the resources required, and why are we not meeting our target? Again, I wonder, is that something that policy and planning will be looking at, or is it something that we should be addressing through here?
Are you going to come back? Yep.
Cool. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. Great. Hey, thank you, Peter, and we look forward to we're super excited about next month. It's great.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the financial performance report. Bruce, so do you want to come on up? Do you want to just run us through the key highlights as well, please? And I'm happy to move this, and Jake's happy to second it. Yep.
Certainly. Good morning, councillors. This finance report is a brief update from the 6-month December report that you had last month. Surplus remains positive year to date and positive for year end. It's slightly improved in both cases. forecast year-end surplus, operating surplus, just under 25 million, up from 21 million last year. We've asked our finance advisors to have a good hard look at it because we are seeing a continual creep. So they're having a good hard look at it this month. The reasons for the slight increase are covered in 3.3, and the reasons for the overall increase for the year-end forecast are in 3.4 that explain there's a number of specific items. Revenue is about 5 million of the 25 million, with costs being about 20 million. The revenue primarily relates to interest, rates income, resource consenting revenue and land information, LIMS and PIMS revenue. The lower forecast costs obviously around the insurance, which happened early in the year. There's some personnel cost savings due to vacancies, landfill and resource recovery operations, higher staff capitalisation this year, and lower rates on council-owned properties. So they're the main reasons for the variance. As Peter mentioned, and Paul will talk to, the capital forecast remains similar to last month. Happy to take any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce. And I think it will be good to understand that budgeting around how we continue. I mean, surpluses are good, but like I've always said, they're not good in our environments because when we're striking a rate, we should be striking what we need to strike. So it will be good to understand that as we feed into the long-term plan as we work through it. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Yanni?
Yeah, thank you. We've obviously had some unexpected expenditure with the recent flooding. Is there any sense of how our budgets are looking in terms of the additional resources required? Or will we be getting some sort of reporting on that?
You will be getting reporting on it. I haven't got any information at the moment on potential costs arising from that.
We have Bruce, am I right in thinking that we have an annual provision for sort of wet weather events? I'm pretty sure we put something in each year, don't we?
Yes, units are expected to absorb what they can within their own budgets. Yep. We do have a $500,000 operating provision as a contingency where they can't meet that. We also have a balance sheet provision of about 2.2 million.
Okay.
From previous years.
I'm probably going off topic, but it's around the similar vein. When we declare when the Mayor declares a local state of emergency, is there any government funding that comes at that point?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we have a set time frame. We have to notify NZTA of any works that we have to carry out, and there will be that'll be lodged with them when it's all collated.
Okay, cool. Sorry, Yanni, you go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just trying to understand whether we've got enough contingency, but also we had, I think from the previous event, we still had some discussions ongoing around the cost of that as well. So, yeah.
Yes, it's a trade-off between what we provide for in an operating budget and impacting rates versus the likelihood of something happening. So there's a mix of responses.
Yeah.
We do have some budget and we do have some balance sheet provision, and obviously at the end of the day we have borrowing if it's a significant event that we can't.
But there's no, just so I'm clear, there's no constraint to the recovery or the response because of lack of resources or budget, right? You will make provision for what needs to be done.
Yes, the operating units will determine what needs to be done. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Okay, so that's been moved and seconded. All in favour? Against? That's carried. Thank you very much, Bruce. Paul, you're up.
Good morning. Just a brief update. The forecast for the capital program still remains at 500 million. That sits at 89% of the current year budget. To date, we've spent 262 million of that, so that's 52%, which is about right in terms of the percentage of the year to date. And that's the spend, but in terms of delivery, we're forecasting to 85% of projects are forecast to be delivered on time. So that's in line with the spend at 89%, so they're not too far apart. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. And if there's any questions,
I guess like a really good report. I guess, and I always like to ask you this, whether it's here or at the agenda setting, is there any red flags or anything you want to bring to our attention of concern?
Not particularly, other than there's still, last year we dropped away in this quarter that we're in now, and that's why we're still sitting around that 500 mark, despite the fact that the forecast from the PMs is going the other way, is going up a bit.
They'll be my questions next month.
Yeah, so we're still sort of holding around that 500 for that reason. There's still that risk of the fall off that we had last year.
Yeah, okay, no, good as gold. Does anyone have any questions? So I'm happy to move that. Tim's happy to second it. All in favour? Against? That's carried. Great. Thank you very much, Paul. That's brilliant. All right, Joe is here. I saw Joe. Come on up for item 11, the inquiry into the 2025 local elections. Again, I'm happy to... You happy to move it, Tyler? Tyler's happy to move it. Melanie's happy to second it. Do you want to talk us through what we need, Joe, and then we can take questions?
I think it's probably quite self-explanatory. This review is done after each triennial election, and it's usually done quite quickly afterwards. So, and just to confirm previous conversations, there will be a report on the elections coming to the council in April, and we'll include some statistics put together by DIA with just some of that national information.
Perfect. That's great, Joe. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Yanni?
Thank you. Thank you for the work on this. I understand we're also asking some questions through the Life in Christchurch survey around voter participation as well.
And that will be, the results of that will be in the report in April.
Right. Is there any ability for the results from that to be fed into the submission?
No, because they haven't been analysed. We, as you will note, in the submission it says we're doing some research about participation, and that will be included in our presentation to the committee, or we'll provide that to the committee, so that information will go forward.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Okay, so that's Celeste. Yep.
Thank you. This is really some really good recommendations in here. I just wondered, in terms of lack of civic participation, is there any research being done into the impacts of misinformation during that election period? Because obviously we're seeing a big increase in that too.
We haven't done any research, but given the terms of reference of the Select Committee's inquiry, I think that that's something that they're going to raise. It's obviously something that's changing in the world.
Okay, so that's been moved and seconded. All in favour? Against? That's carried. We'll break now for morning tea, and we'll come back at 11:15 for the Te Kaha precinct, please.
All right, we're starting back again. We're in PX.
Do you want a resolution to quickly move into PX?
Oh yeah.
There you go.
All right, so we're going to move into PX. I've moved it. Victoria has seconded it. All in favour? Aye. And we've got CCHL.
Hang on, let's just let everyone get their seats back. And welcome along, team. So just to note, I'll move the staff recommendation. Victoria will second it. Do you want to do your presentation? First question I've got is from Tyler. So you guys talk through it first.
Look, I'd just like to introduce Guy Williams. I don't think I perhaps been in front of council once, and Andy Brown, who's the manager of our Metropolitan Parks, to present the item today. Over to you, Guy.
Good morning. We are putting this proposal together to repurpose the area at 258 to 262 Hereford Street into car parking to service the Takaha Stadium. We'll take the proposal as read, but I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Tyler, thank you for that. Tyler.
Kia ora, guys. Quick first question. I've got a couple. Who are the car parks for?
So it would be venues Otatahi would manage the whole site, including those car parks, and it would be for event staff or associated bodies that are at an event at the stadium.
Okay.
Just to add to that, one of the obligations venues Otatahi has when they with the event hirers is they have to provide a certain number of car parks free of charge. So it might be New Zealand Rugby for an All Blacks or the promoter of a major concert, etc. So at the moment they're having to go off-site and hire those car parks, because all of the car parks that you may be familiar with that are built on site in an event are used for accessible parking only.
Yep. And when the events are on time, who will those car parks be for?
They'll be generally available for operational staff.
Okay. So the question I've got, I think I'm getting to, is would operational staff be permanently in those plus the event staff during those events? So for example, will venue staff have constant car parks throughout regardless of the events?
The only staff that would...
I'm talking VIP parks is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, the only staff that will be parking constantly are most likely to be the park staff. They don't have to be there during the day. That can be used for other purposes. But it's, our main concern is that a lot of the park staff will be there on event evenings up until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Cool, so it's our guys.
And so our guys will be allocated car parks in those events so that they have safe egress.
Okay, and if the council decide to go the alternative option, what's the financial return if we were to put a capital injection into it and then lease out the building?
The estimate is about $39,000 a year for the 200 square metre footprint.
Okay. And is there any OPEX that we need to put into it year by year? Or will that be within the leasing agreement if we do decide to go that way?
I'd need further investigation to confirm.
Bruce is nodding that would be incorporated into the revenue generated, I guess.
We have to offset the revenue.
Offset the revenue. Yeah.
Okay, and for the park staff, say for example, we did go with the alternative option, where would they go if this resolution didn't go through?
The current arrangement is that they park at Hagley and they'd have to be transported over.
Got you. Okay, thanks.
Cool. I've got Aaron and then Nathaniel.
Yeah, a couple of things. Just one is the access, but firstly, did you say 39 for that building?
Yes, correct. I'll just confirm that.
Yeah, it is 39.
Yes, 39.
Yeah, it's in the report. Yeah.
I would be beyond shocked if you could lease that for $39,000 a year. It's a pig, and as a polite term, and there's so much other available space. Why would someone rent that for 39? Where did that number come from?
It came from our leasing team. That's on the assumption that we invest the 140,000 into the visible defects that need to be fixed. It could be more than that.
Right. Okay. That's all right. And then my other one is around accessibility. This site in the area, because I've asked it a few times, what the traffic management plan looks like. We're opening in weeks, and we have not seen it. I went to an event last week in Auckland at Eden Park, and theirs is unreal. And there's lots of old people there, and they've closed all the streets 6 blocks away. It's an inaccessible venue. Are we going to be that? Because that'll be the headline. The headline won't be, oh, fantastic new venue. It's going to be, but no one could get there.
That's not really a question for these guys. I can take that away. It's really a question for Venues Otatahi. They are the ones responsible for the activity on site and delivering the events, and they are the ones that are developing the...
So you're saying VO are running the streets around the event?
Well, it's a combination. VO are working with our transport team.
Yeah.
Yeah, to create the
So why don't we?
management plan.
Yeah.
So why don't we? Obviously, next Tuesday we're not here, but the Tuesday after, can we have it as an action to have VO and the transport team talk through? let's just
We can take that away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that would be good, because I think the urgency is fair, and that gives 2 weeks.
We'll schedule a workshop before.
Yeah, so
Opening day.
in that workshop, we're at the point now where, because we've spent tens of millions on the streets around it, we must see all the maps of exactly how people are getting in and out, and because we're the governance board, and confidence, yes, and showing what's the modelling on buses, on we'll have an updated version of what it looks like, and it's.
I can see Brent's getting excited about the presentation already. So
it's the pictures that he wants to draw that I'm looking forward to.
Okay, so let's leave that there. But let's note that as an action around not next week, but the week after. We're in the next couple of weeks getting something. We've got Nathaniel, then Tyler.
Yeah. Just clarify. So we haven't, as a council, we haven't given VO any clear assurances as yet that this land is for them to use for parking, right?
The original report, and I sent the answers through to councillors yesterday, detailed the thinking at the time as to why that land would be purchased, and one of those was VIP parking, which is one of the reasons why we're putting.
So it was one of about 5 possible uses when we bought the land. Was this?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
And then Pauline, and then we might try and get.
Yep. Excuse me, fellas, for asking this.
And Tim as well. Yeah.
We've obviously gone through a tour around the stadium, which was awesome. When we got to see the Parks team have their workshop within the stadium itself. So would you be able to tell me why the Parks team would come from Hagley to park in those car parks during events, if we've already got a workshop already in the stadium?
They don't have any parking.
And what are they? What are they
have to
going to
transport
utilise for?
themselves to that location.
Oh,
so
the
issue that we have is not the everyday. You could use public transport, cycle, whatever. It's this venue is proposing to have multiple events, late into the evening.
Yep.
And after the event leaves, that's when our park staff teams works for. They might have to break down turf protection, various things, stay on site.
Mm.
They're likely to be there until the early hours of the morning in those circumstances.
Got you. That makes sense.
Yes.
So then there's the sticking point for me really is putting in $300,000 for some VIP parks as the premise.
Okay, so let's. So have you got a question?
I'm just wondering what the utilisation would be. I completely back staff utilising those car parks if we were to go through with that resolution, but I'm not sure about spending $300,000 on VIP parks.
So you got questions of the staff?
Yeah,
or?
could there be a resolution that probably excludes the use of VIP parks?
Well, I think we have to come back with a different option for the land, because if you're talking about utilising it for staff car parks on those 20-something occasions that you're going to have late night activity.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure what the rest of the land might be used for. We'd have to come back with an alternative proposal that could accommodate some staff, and then work with our planning team to work out what could be achieved on that site.
Okay.
From a commercial perspective, we don't have that level of detail.
So I've got Pauline, then Yanni, then Tim.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm just finding a little bit confusing in the report. If we were to retain the building, there is room for car parks as well, isn't there, in there?
At the moment, the car parks are allocated under consent to that building.
Oh, okay.
Right, so if you retain the building, the car parks stay with the building. If you lease the building, the car parks go to the leasee.
And that's the total number of car parks on either side of the building?
Under their previous activity, obviously, depending on what that use may be, there could be a different outcome to that.
Could there?
Yeah. The thing to keep in mind is the site will be as it is as we open the stadium.
And that be a... Sorry, Pauline, just to clarify. So is that a change to resource consent?
It depends what comes forward through a commercial process and what activity. We can't sit here and say it'll need 2 car parks or 20 car parks.
Yeah.
So depending on if we retained the building and we leased it out, depending on what that use is, there would be a new consent required, which could alter the car parking, which could free up some for council
But,
or
but
Te
there'd,
Kaha.
there'd still be minimum car parking requirements, wouldn't there? I mean, otherwise you'd have. Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not. 'Cause
It
it's central
look, it
city.
depends on the underlying rules in the district plan and what the
Yeah.
what the proposed activity is. We can't answer that question today.
Yep. Okay.
And just, is
yep.
there, in the report I haven't seen, is there a demolition cost estimate?
Yes, around $35,000 for demolition. That's included in the project cost.
That's way less than the.
Okay. Tim? No, Yanni, sorry. Yanni, then Tim. Sorry, Yanni, Celeste, and then we'll finish with Tim.
Cool. So when we acquired this, one of the rationale for it was to...
Questions? Questions?
Yeah, this is a question. The increased flexibility of precinct design outcomes and control of precinct design outcomes.
Questions?
So the question is, given that we purchased this and it's been raised for nearly 2 years, why is it just coming to us now? And why wasn't it done in cooperation with the stadium design?
Because I think we've answered this question before, because it's been leased to Bessett's Watpac, have been utilising it for the purposes of building the stadium. And it's now becoming available.
So you're just saying you wouldn't demolish it when there's people in it?
No, not talking about demolishing
Cool.
it,
You got
but
a
why
different question,
hasn't
Yanni?
the plan for it been incorporated into the state? Like, why hasn't the plan for the car parking requirements of the stadium been incorporated into the design?
The design for the car parking requirements for the stadium have been incorporated into the design. This is additional to that requirement.
Sorry, so my understanding is we're being told that venues Ōtautahi are hiring private car parks
That's correct.
when they contract events
That's correct.
because they don't have sufficient car parking at the stadium, the brand new stadium that we haven't even opened yet, that we have designed, even though...
What's your question, not your statement?
So the question is, why wasn't this need for these car parks incorporated into the stadium design?
Haven't you been through
Look,
that?
I don't think we've got the right staff at the table to answer that question. I mean,
Okay.
the design was done over a long period of time and quite some years ago. And
Right.
I'm not sure, Bruce
Okay.
may have some recollection of
Can-
the timing of that purchase.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
yeah.
So then can I ask when obviously there's a cost to council, there's a cost to venues Ōtautahi.
What's your question?
When is the operational agreement between council and venues Ōtautahi coming to us?
I'm not sure that that's relevant to the item on the table, but it's with Venues Ōtautahi. It's a commercial negotiation.
I thought we'd had an answer to that a week or two
Yeah,
ago.
I
It's been
think I
worked through
answered
the
that
system.
last week.
Yep. Okay, I've got Celeste and then Tim. You must have a good question.
If we didn't go ahead with this today, I understand, I mean, obviously we can sort of monitor how things go. I understand that there is some urgency because you want to do work there now, but how comfortable would you be if some councillors didn't feel like they had sufficient information today to make a decision?
Look, the only
So
advantage...
Celeste,
The-
we struggle
the
at the end
advantage
to
of-
hear you. Can you repeat and just lean right into the...
Just talking about timing, whether we could potentially postpone
Timing.
this, because there's some questions here that I feel like I would
What are
prefer.
your
some-
questions? Sorry.
Well, some of the questions have been asked already.
Yeah, the question is, if there wasn't a decision to proceed today, what would the impact be? The stadium will open, obviously, and the site will be as it is. You may get cost inflation, possibly not. We're using advantageous contractual rates with an open contract we have from the streets, so we'd have to go to the market.
And just, do you have any idea of how many staff would be using that space? Like what the need is? Because you're obviously basing it upon what the space
7.
can provide.
Can you, sorry, Celeste, we can't
Sorry.
hear a word. Yeah.
So I was just asking what the staff need was, and the answer was 7.
Yep.
Is that right? Yep.
Correct.
So 7.
7 out of the 33.
7 out of the 33. So we're not sure yet what the other ones would be used for. Would they be for VO?
Venues Ōtautahi, it
Yeah.
reduces the amount of car parks they have to commercially purchase to support the events.
Right. Thank you.
Tim. And then
Could these parks also be used, depending on the event, for overflow for emergency vehicles like St John, etc.? Police, yeah.
It's really up to Venues Ōtautahi.
Exactly,
I don't feel comfortable answering on their behalf.
Yep, thank you.
So, and then I'll come to Nathaniel. I think you got a foreshadowed motion. So Andrew, just so I've got it clear in my mind, if we proceed with demolition, we're going to provide the car parks. If we don't proceed with it, they'll have to go and hire them elsewhere because of contractual arrangements they've entered into.
Just to be really precise, they'll still have to hire car parks.
But
They
this will
just
be
won't have
less.
to hire as many.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Really clear. Nathaniel.
I was just going to put a foreshadowed motion for, I've got some wording there for the alternative option.
So if this fails, you'll just move the alternative option.
That's right.
So is that the staff alternative, or have you got some updates?
Oh, so I mean, it's basically the staff alternative to retain, but I think there is some wording with staff to precisely capture what I was. Is that?
Yep, we'll just get that on the screen.
Yeah, cool.
Yanni, do you want to ask your question while that's happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very specific question. But is it, given that we own the Litchfield Street car park, has there been consideration of using that for the requirements?
I can't answer that. I mean, again, all the activity associated to delivering events is the responsibility of Venues Otata.
Okay.
Cool. So just so we're clear, so Nathaniel, this is your foreshadow one, which is, approves the retention and the preparation of the site for commercial activity, and delegates to staff decisions relating to dual use. So that would just be the resource consent and things.
Yeah. And making sure that there are some of those parks available, because there's actually two sites, 258 and 262.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, so that's foreshadowed, and we'll deal with that if we get to it. Have you got a question? And then I'm really keen to move this on. So, yep.
Sorry, Andrew, what are the largest venues other outside of Christchurch you've been involved in New Zealand?
In New Zealand?
Yeah, or overseas, either way.
Eden Park and Stadium, Sydney Stadium, whatever they call it now. It changes its name every year.
Okay, so then if that's the case, and you oversaw this paper, why is your staff recommendation for this venue what it is, in a nutshell? Why would you make that recommendation rather than, let's just do it up and lease it out for maybe 39K? Why would you make this recommendation, looking at the site as a whole with your experience?
For the short term, it solves, not a particularly difficult logistical problem, but it solves a small logistical problem. It helps us makes me feel better about keeping our staff safe, late at night. And that's something to be mindful of too. This will be a 7-day-a-week operation for our staff. This isn't a tune up, prepare it, and leave type of venue. Our staff will be there every day of the week, and whatever nights events are held. So there's that factor. There's the short-term benefit, which may be, depending on how long it runs, associated to reducing Venues Otatahi costs. The payback period on a $300,000 capital investment is obviously reasonably long, but it has benefits. It makes the venue more operationally attractive, particularly to those, if I use someone like the All Blacks, for example, they will have a certain number of people that they absolutely want to park on site. And that's a challenge for VO at the moment.
To the best of your knowledge, Andrew, are VO moving their corporate offices to the stadium?
I'm not.
You're
I'm
not
not privy to VO's commercial operations. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. All right.
All right, so we're there. So we've got a motion on the table, which is moved and seconded, and we've got a foreshadow one if that fails from Nathaniel. Mm-hmm. So what we'll do is, I'm going to ask for debate in the hope that not everyone wants to debate it, given what it is. Yeah. So I've got Pauline, Nathaniel, Yanni.
Just very briefly, I was really erring on the side of retaining the building, but having listened to the questions and answers, I think that in looking at the plan, I think it's... What's that?
Hey,
no,
let her finish.
No, I said erring, if anything, so that's not a decision. So, But no, I think that it would be better to have a clear site, and the addition of a net 6 more trees, so we're removing 3 and replanting 9, that's going to make the site look really good. I think that building might let down the whole area. I'm just concerned about that. It's not really a pretty thing. And also Andrew's comments about staff safety I think is really important, so providing those car parks at a effective location to keep them safe is really important. It's not going to be, as far as I can see, a car park for the public per se, so we're not actually encouraging people to bring their cars in, where this is for staff generally, as far as I can see, so I'll be supporting the recommendation.
I'd like to give you another 10 minutes to keep talking. Okay, Yanni?
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I appreciate that the staff have brought this report. I guess the frustration is that I've been raising this almost since we bought the site. How does it incorporate into the design for the new stadium? And I just feel really disappointed that we still have no sense of what the external activation is of the precinct, but we see the stadium's going to open in a couple of weeks, a couple of months. You know, like we were told initially that there's going to be activity along Barbados Street, that's going to be an active edge where there could be opportunities for council or the community to come and participate in hospitality when we don't have events on, but I don't think we've had any plans for that at the moment. There was talk of having some sort of live music venue within the stadium. I don't think that we've had an update on that. I think the frustration I have is that we're being asked to make this decision so close to the opening of the stadium, and that it's inconceivable that you could design a brand new stadium and not have the functions that you need to support events that are happening there, and have to spend additional money and resources 2 months before it's opening to cater for that. So, yeah, my preference is to retain the site, is to look at what the commercial activities are, and I think my colleague has got a foreshadowed amendment, which I'll be supporting. The irony is that we own a car parking building 2 blocks away that we're told is underutilised, and we're considering selling off. At the same time, we've got a report saying we need more car parking, and a site that we've bought, we should turn it into car parking to support our operations. So, yeah, I won't support this, the staff recommendation. I will support the foreshadowed amendment. I still think we need to get a really clear understanding of how this precinct is going to work with the activation, especially outside of the event days as well as the event days.
Anyone would think you're not going to be at the opening, Yanni. Nathaniel.
Yeah. First of all, probably want to turn the temperature down on a little bit. I think either way, we've got a fantastic stadium opening in April. It's not, this definitely isn't die on a hill territory here. I just think there's a good opportunity with some pretty minimal costs. We put the stadium in the inner city so that it was going to be accessible for public transport, so that people wouldn't have to drive, or they could only walk a few blocks. And also we put it there because we wanted vibrant nightlife in the inner city. And then we bought the land around it to try and further a lot of those goals. And there is, I think, a big opportunity for us here furthering that goal with this building. It is, at the moment, looks pretty rough, absolutely. But we're being told by staff we could spend 150,000, 140,000 doing it up. We'll have the only venue that's on the same block as the stadium. Could be a restaurant bar. It'll be earning us, 40 grand a year. It'll be right there. I think it'll end up being a pretty iconic venue for a lot of people. It'll be like the closest pre-game stadium, pre-game, location, right by the stadium. I can't imagine that it wouldn't do well on game days. And bars like the Fitz before it burnt down that are close by show that you can have a good viable bar in that area with a bit of work. So I think it'd be a really awesome, iconic kind of venue. And it'll reduce rates by $40,000 a year, and the capital costs are half the capital costs of doing the car park option. The only real downside is, we're losing some parking spaces. The actual footprint of the building itself is 11 park spaces. There'll be some figuring out the 6 on 258, and then the other 14, how many of those we can retain. Seems likely we'd be able to retain enough for our staff at least. So I think there's a pretty good option there with pretty small downside. Definitely no big strategic downside, just a cost for VO. And we're not really supposed to be adding more to our subsidy of the stadium in VO. It's already $1 million in OPEX a year from parks. And the alternative to this is really, as I said, we'll be doubling the capex for the 300,000 for the car park, and kind of telling ratepayers really, we built it here because we think you're all good to walk a couple of blocks or bus in the middle of the night, but it's not safe for our staff to do that. We're going to give them free parking instead. I feel like that's just not really appropriate, particularly, we're trying to cut our cloth, we're trying to save some money, we've got 40 grand a year lying on the ground, why not pick it up? So yeah, either way, we can have an awesome stadium. We'll be able to revisit, if there are real parking issues, we can revisit them when the transitional cathedral land is in our hands. We can add the parks there if we find that we really, really need them. But I think in a few years, if we make the right decision, we will have this iconic pre-game institution restaurant bar right by the stadium, and we'll be thinking, how could we ever thought about bowling it over? So hope you oh, look at that, perfect timing. Thank you.
Just to be clear, are we all talking about the same building? This.
Look, I mean,
I wouldn't let my worst enemy go into that building.
No pain. You can do a lot with 150,000.
Yeah.
Remember the Occidental.
Okay, sorry, I probably didn't help the order at all. Aaron, I'm sure this will help. And then Andre.
Yeah, the new bar opening on Hereford Street there is called The Pig. And I'm not sure who it's going to attract, but you never know. First and foremost, the safety of the staff, having worked with various events over the years and at most venues around this country, accessibility is a massive thing, and for staff loading in and out that will rig the concerts and stuff, the cleaners that'll be there till 2 or 3 in the morning because there's another event starting the following day, that kind of stuff. This is important, and there's also a reason why councils go out and recruit staff and managers to run departments that have worked in really impressive places around the rest of the world. That's because they have experience. And so I take it that our staff write a report based on what they believe is the best outcome for this venue. Not that, I might be able to score a car park there now and then myself, so I'll pop that in. The staff recommendation today is about getting the best outcome for the stadium. New Zealand and Christchurch have invested a lot of money and a lot of effort into what will be the best venue in this country, if not one of the best in Australasia. So if our staff then come to us and say, this addition over here will make the best venue even better, then we need to back them. And so that's why I ask all of my councillors for the success of the stadium to back this.
Thank you. Andre.
Thank you. Yeah, the reality of the bunged up old building is it says in the report $140,000 in repairs. So it's not necessarily a cheap option. It's a whole lot of money into doing that and then hoping someone wants to take it over. But at the end of the day, you have to have parking available to run events. Event organisers, they bring their crews. The bands, they bring their crews. There's a whole lot of people involved, a whole lot of logistics. And if you don't make that operation as smooth as possible, it makes them less likely to want to come back. If we're lucky enough to get the Spice Girls and they've got their big Union Jack tour bus, it's going to need somewhere to park. But a lot of your big artists, like after the show's finished, they get bundled into a car while people are still cheering, and they get whisked away in their motorcar, and that's for security reasons. Otherwise, they get mobbed. Like the operations of this need to be as smooth as possible. There's opportunity here to utilise that space. It would seem absolutely insane not to. A car park 2 blocks away is no good. If you've got Billy Idol, for example, he's going to need to get whisked away, or I'll be screaming looking for an autograph. It'd just be absolutely nuts on taking an opportunity like this. It doesn't mean it's this forever. I mean, it's been empty car parks. The possibilities in future are endless, but trying to restore that old building, I don't think it's going to get us anywhere.
Thank you, Andre. I've got the Mayor and then Tim, and then we're going to move on.
I haven't been here this morning. I cannot believe what I'm hearing. Common sense doesn't seem to be very common today. Thank you. I do the joke trend here. You got it. Anyway, it comes down to this. The building's buggered, exactly what Aaron said. If staff are saying this is going to make the precinct better, it's good. The buildings bucket is going to cost a whole lot to fix it. Let's get it knocked over before Heritage get their hands on it, and otherwise be stuffed over. But we don't want to be having a building there done up and we're renting it out to a bar. We've got people who have spent God's own $1 million up and down the terrace and stuff like that, and we don't. Nah. So I'll be certainly supporting what's up here on the wall. Hey, we'll put the trees in.
Okay, to wrap it up, Tim.
Thank you. Without the exception of my colleague across the table here, I've done more big concerts than anyone else in this building. The number one thing for me is at night, when all you guys waddle off from your corporate and you're all having a nice time, you're actually going in a bunch. My cruise started from about 11 o'clock at night, male and female. And they worked, and 3 o'clock it'd be actually very nice, but we go through, luxury, we go through to when it's finished. That's it, full stop, it has to move. I've had staff attacked in Hagley car park. We have had areas closed off. Funnily enough, I actually had security guards attacked. It didn't go too well for the attackers, but you know. But in all seriousness, the number one thing on my mind, when you've got all this happening, you've got, I think the biggest we had is about 90 B trains planted all across Christchurch to get them to Lancaster Park on schedule, in order, reverse order of when you load in. The VIPs, technically that's a side issue. But you know, we worry about nurses at night, which is absolutely right. But I haven't really heard anyone caring about the crews. And some of them are females. Yes, some of them are pretty handy or whatever. But think about what we're doing and what the end game is. The end game is to have the best stadium in New Zealand in a great spot. And here we are arguing about a few car parks which could be used extremely well. It could be used for extra disability parking depending on the event, extra fire if we've got pyrotechnics, etc. That's for the operators to decide, not you guys to guess or myself to guess. I'm not operating it, thank God. But I just wish you'd be a bit more positive, and I hope the media pick up about the negativity. We've got an amazing opportunity here. Our city's going forward, and we're just moaning about a few little things. The operation, the number one thing you should be sitting, you've got an opportunity to provide safe parking for both the crews who are doing the grass, etc. Because when you're loading out, there are council workers there it used to be on my back, making sure the grass isn't being screwed over. You know, like we're investing a lot of money in this building for this grass. It doesn't happen by accident, and we don't want any accidents. To park 2 blocks away is a joke, to be quite frank. I really hope you support this, and I hope one day that you go and see in 2 and 3 in the morning the crews and how hard they bloody well work. Cheers.
Very good. Good note to end on. Let's go to Votendo, please. Voting started. Cool. So that's okay. Great. So that's carried. Thank you. Yep. Have you got that there? Can you bring it back up, please? Just so I can see it. Oh yeah. No, Yanni voted against it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move on. So we'll go into public excluded now. Yeah. So we'll move into So we'll move to go into public excluded. Jake's happy to second that. All in favour? Against? That's carried.